Hi, everyone. My name is Teresa Carr. I'm a board-certified behavior analyst here at Professional Therapy Associates. Today, we have student analysts doing a parent training series on spring break tips and tricks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Livia. I am a student analyst at Professional Therapy Associates. And today, me and Renata are going to talk about spring break tips and tricks. Spring break is approaching, and we are going to discuss some tips and tricks on how to make your spring break a fun experience for everyone. We're going to talk about meeting new people, at-home activities, changing routines, and sensory versions. For meeting new people, in a previous PTA parent training series, Holidays Tips and Tricks, we discussed how to help your children encounter new or unfamiliar faces. Now that spring break is here, we want to discuss how you can prepare for a specific unfamiliar face, the Easter Bunny. Meeting the Easter Bunny can be a challenging task for learners. Let's talk about how we can help our learners feel prepared and confident for the moment. First, you want to set goals. You want to identify to yourself what you want to occur. You can ask yourself what you want this experience to be for your child and yourself. Do I want this to be a learning opportunity for my child, or do I want this to be a very smooth experience? Once you decide what you want this experience to be for yourself and your child, set a goal. A good goal is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. For example, you could say, Sam will high-five the Easter Bunny and take 2 photos, instead of saying, Sam won't cry and will take pictures with the Easter Bunny. The first one gives a more specific goal, and it sets a goal for your child that can be measured. You also want to make sure that you're flexible. It is important to keep in mind that not everything will go as planned and not every goal will be met. That is okay. You want to make sure you set boundaries. Once you set a goal, talk to the photographer or Easter Bunny. Sometimes individuals are unfamiliar with the ways your children greet and interact with others. Having this short conversation can help set that expectation and avoid adding extra pressure on yourself and your child. You could say something like, Hi, this is a new situation for my child, and our goal is for him to give the Easter Bunny a high five and take 2 pictures. This way that you let the photographer and the Easter Bunny know what you want to happen, and they're not adding extra pressure on you or your child. You want to make sure that you're prepared. You want to utilize visuals. Providing a visual aid can help the learner feel more prepared and confident when seeing the Easter Bunny. While talking about the Easter Bunny is great, it is even better to provide a visual. Sometimes we imagine something in a specific way and the reality is much different. It is also a good idea to show different variations of the Easter Bunny as it helps create generalization. Another great tool is social stories. You can look up or create your own social stories of what might occur when meeting the Easter Bunny. You can watch movies or videos about meeting the Easter Bunny so your child can see it being done by someone else. Not only is this a good tool for greeting and taking pictures with the Easter Bunny, but it also helps us be prepared for our surroundings. You could bring tools such as first then boards, reinforcers, headphones, and fidgets. Sometimes we just think that meeting the Easter Bunny will just be about going there and taking a photo, but we can't forget about the long lines and loud noises that we might encounter as well. You can also utilize behavioral skills training. BST is an evidence-based approach to teaching new skills and behaviors that break down complex behaviors into smaller, more manageable steps to teach. BST is a great tool to help your children prepare for new skills and situations. You first want to instruct. By instructing, you clearly explain why the goal is important to you and your child and what the goal is. You then want to model. You can demonstrate what the goal should look like when completely correct. You can use videos from the internet or your child actually experiencing this. You then want to rehearse. You want to practice the skill with your child. And once you practice, you provide feedback. Provide your child with positive feedback and or constructive criticism. Here's an example of BST of meeting the Easter Bunny. First, you would instruct by saying, we are going to meet the Easter Bunny this week. You will say hello to the Easter Bunny by waving and taking 2 photos with him. Meeting the Easter Bunny is a fun activity. You would then model the behavior. You would model the behavior that you want your child to replicate. You could have someone else act as the Easter Bunny and recreate this scenario for them. You can then practice. Allow your child to practice the skill until they feel comfortable and confident. Once your child has done the practice, you provide positive reinforcement for completing the skill correctly, and if they don't, you provide constructive feedback for incorrect behavior. So now let's talk about at-home activities. It can be challenging to fill the time in a day when your child has off from school for an extended period of time. It is also common that too much free time can lead to unwanted behavior. So let's talk about some great sensory-friendly activities that we can do over this spring break. Some indoor activities include things such as circle time. Creating an at-home circle time can help your child feel like they are still engaging in a routine and continue to work on numerous skills. For example, a great routine for circle time may be checking in and singing a hello song. Then you can go over the days of the weeks or the calendar. You can then sing a song of the days of the week. You can then talk about maybe a shape, a number, or a sound. Maybe listen to a phonics song. Have your child engage in activity, and then you could sing goodbye. This is a great way to add some structure into your child's day. Another great indoor activity is sensory bin time. Sensory bin time is a huge hit in the clinic. For some, it is a fun time to engage and play. For others, it is a relaxing activity to help self-regulate. You can even make edible sensory bins for those who have the habit of mouthing or ingesting inedible objects. This is a great time to work on tolerating different textures and attending to an activity. Another great activity is craft time. Craft time doesn't have to be extravagant. You can work on your child tolerating paint on their hands or work on your child's scribbling skills. Story time can also happen at home. When your child listens to a story is a great skill to have. If your child has the ability to sit and attend, that is a great skill that should be continued to be maintained over spring break. If your child is still learning, now is a great time to practice. If your child enjoys the iPad but has a difficult time sitting for a story, try listening to a story on the iPad. You can even do structured playtime. Structured play is when you are making sure that our learners are appropriately engaging in an activity. For example, instead of dumping out a box of toys for your child to play with, you can take out cars and a ramp and work on functionally using the car ramp. Now let's talk about some outdoor activities we can do over spring break. A water bin is a great sensory activity. Sometimes sensory bins can be overstimulating for learners, and rather a more simple water bin is a great alternative. Engaging in this activity outside is a plus as it limits the restriction of what your child can get wet. Another great outdoor activity is water paint time. Paint can be messy, so a great alternative to paint and a way to enjoy the outdoors is to engage in water paint on the sidewalk. Water paint is a great way to let your child be as messy as they like and as creative as they want. Sidewalk chalk is a classic outdoor activity that has endless opportunities. No matter the skills that your child is working on, there's a skill that can be worked on with chalk. You can work on scribbling, balance through hopscotch, counting numbers, identifying shapes, numbers, or letters. The opportunities are endless. You can also just do some plain old outdoor time. There are unlimited options when going outside. You can work on riding a bicycle or tricycle, holding hands when walking, and saying ready, set, go when on the slide. Let's talk about how we can support our learners to be successful with these activities. Prompting. A prompt in ABA is an aid or cue that a learner receives to accomplish a particular task or exhibit a desired behavior. The goal is to gradually lessen the need for cues so that the person can become independent in the desired behavior or ability. A full physical prompt is when you are physically moving the learner's body to complete the behavior. A partial prompt occurs when you provide less pressure or support during the behavior, allowing the learner to guide them to complete the behavior together. A full verbal prompt is providing the complete auditory response required of the learner. A partial verbal prompt is providing a portion of the auditory response required of the learner. A model prompt is providing an example of what the learner should do. And a gestural prompt is making a movement, such as pointing, an eye gaze, or such to indicate the correct response. If your child is new to a sensory bin, start with a full physical prompt. You can sit behind your child and hold their hands as you show them how to appropriately engage with the sensory bin. If you feel that your child can go down the prompt hierarchy, move to a partial physical prompt by just guiding their elbows. Another example is if your child is working on completing phrases such as ready, set, go. You can utilize a car ramp. Place the car on top of the ramp and provide a partial verbal prompt by saying ready, set, go. If the child says go, provide praise and release the car. If they do not say go up the prompt hierarchy to a full verbal prompt by saying ready, set, go, and give the learner another chance to repeat it. Make sure to provide positive reinforcement for wanted behaviors such as verbal praise and giving a high five. Now Renata is going to talk about changes in routine.
Hi everyone, I'm Renata. I'm a student analyst at a professional therapy associate. So let's go into changing routine. Between having time off for the holidays, possible traveling, and having fun activities planned for over spring break, your child might be overwhelmed with the change in routine. Let's discuss some ways we can help your child for the change in routine. So first, we need to understand the child's needs. Kids often experience changes in routine. However, they might not be prepared for big changes, especially if your child follows a rigid schedule. Keeping in mind that every child has different needs and may require types of guidance will ensure the well-being of your child during this season. Holiday changes might include more time at home, holiday activities, no school, traveling plans, or family and friends staying over for the holiday. You can try creating a visual schedule. Visual schedules can be a great tool to prepare the child for the upcoming changes. We can use the visuals as a way to assist them during transitions and changes throughout the day. So for the visual schedule, first we can try to identify the changes that need to be made to your child's current schedule. From there, we can create a schedule based on the activities that are planned and will happen during the day. On We should create simple and clear visuals. Too much information can be confusing and overwhelming for them. We should also make sure that we're communicating with the child during the transitions and when showing them the schedule. So this is an example of a visual schedule that you could use to help your child. So first, it is also essential to be flexible. Not everything will go as planned, so be prepared if something unplanned happens. Being prepared will give you the necessary tools to help your child to go through the unplanned events. Being prepared will allow you to support your child's emotions during the transitions. It will minimize your anxiety and it will make transitions easier. You can also try creating social stories. They can be very important tools for them. So social stories can be a great tool to help them understand the changes in routine. It can aid in decreasing the anxiety and help them to feel less overwhelmed. Um, we should make it clear and easy. We can also add pictures to help them visualize the environment. An example of a visual story could be if you're planning a trip to a family member's house, you can create a visual story about the trip and who you're going to meet. You can start the story with something like, on this Saturday, we're going to make our backpacks and drive to our cousin's house. We'll wake up early for the drive, but it's okay. You can rest in the car. The drive will be a little long, but we will stop for lunch and we can also take a walk. You can you can end the story on a good note. Try this. We'll have a lot of fun. Holidays are fun. So let's talk about now sensory aversions. Since spring break often surrounds holidays and contains planned activities, it is common to engage in new or different activities. Let's talk about some sensory aversions your child may encounter and how we can help them to be successful during this time. So, what are sensory aversions? Sensory aversions are stimuli that individuals find overwhelming. These stimuli might appear normal for us, but for some individuals, they are more intense. Sensory aversions can include loud environments, intense smell, bright lights, and some types of foods. First, we should be prepared. Kids might not be familiar with many sounds, foods, and environments they might encounter during the holiday and spring break season. The season will bring many new things to their lives, including new stimuli. Being prepared will ensure they have the resources needed to regulate when stimuli become too overwhelming. Be prepared to assist them with understanding the new stimuli as well. Every individual is different and not everyone may understand that. So be prepared if you encounter difficult situations. Your child might be offered new foods that are aversive to them. In this case, don't force them to eat it. Understand their boundaries and have their preferred food available. Have headphones available in case noises become overwhelming. Have a quiet room available as well in case they need regulation break. And also you can try to minimize the visual stimuli when decorating the house. Visual stimuli can make them anxious and dysregulated. So now let's talk about regulation. When sensory aversions become too overwhelming for your child, they might become dysregulated and need support. To help them regulate, you can use some of these tips. Reduce, reduce potential triggers such as bright lights and loud noises. Have a quiet room available. Help them with self-regulation techniques. You can try to teach them how to breathe slowly, count to 10, or have a fidget toy or preferred object available. Positively reinforce them after they regulate. Acknowledge and validate their emotions to make them feel comfortable and calm. So during this time, we have the tradition of Easter egg hunts. Easter egg hunts are a big tradition during Easter time. Kids might enjoy and have fun with friends and family. However, it can be overwhelming for kids with autism. To help them enjoy this time, we could make it sensory friendly for them. So these are some tips on to help your child during if they're overwhelmed with sensory aversions. You can be prepared. Practice with your child at home. Create visual aids first, then board activity schedule. Bring tools, headphones, rewards, fidgets. We should also be patient. Use simple language and do not offer them many choices. A lot of choices might create a sensory overload. We can also offer them to take breaks if needed, provide one-on-one support if necessary, and we must be flexible. Positively reinforce your child, and it is okay if things don't go as planned. So, to conclude, on meeting new people, we should set goals for meeting new people. Be prepared to support your child, be flexible, set boundaries, and you utilize BST if necessary. At home activities, create friendly indoor and outdoor activities, utilize promptings to support your child, and the most important thing is to make sure they're having fun. Changing routine. Changes can be difficult to make, so make sure you understand your child's needs. Be flexible, be prepared, and utilize tools such as social stories to help them. For sensory aversions are overwhelming stimuli. Make sure you're prepared, be flexible, and have regulation resources available.
All right. Thank you both, Livia and Renata, for presenting on spring break tips and tricks. Tips and tricks. If you guys have any questions regarding any type of tips and tricks that you need for any holiday or anything like that, please reach out to your BCBAs.